Hey everybody, so welcome to part 2 of the new cage vlog, and we've actually got quite a jump forward here because the cage is completed, really. There's just a few little finishing touches to make, but other than that it is done and I'm really pleased with how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the cage, but first of all, if you haven't watched part 1 then I suggest you go and watch it because I talked through some of the things that I'd done up until that point. I'm going to go over now what we've done to kind of get it to this stage and get it finished. So here we are. Here is the completed cage. Oh, I have to stand back to get it all in. It is rather big. Obviously, I haven't got anything in it at the moment. That will come in a later video once it is ready. It's not quite ready for the guinea pigs yet because the sealant is still within its 48-hour period. So by this evening, the sealant will have been left for 48 hours and it will be all set and all safe for the guinea pigs to go in it. First things first, if you remember in the last video I had some raw edges on the Conti board. There is something that you can buy called edging tape. It's really cheap and it's iron on and you can do that pretty easily. That was one thing that I actually managed to do on my own. So if we just zoom into this edge along here, that's the edging tape, and you just kind of fix it into place and iron over it with some paper between the iron and the edging tape, and the glue, it's got glue on the other side that the iron melts, and yeah. That's that. So I'm really quite pleased with that. The tape is usually a bit wider than the board, so it kind of stuck out a bit. So how you get around that is you either use a chisel or a Stanley knife I used to cut away the excess and then just sand it down with sandpaper, and it was surprisingly easy to do that. So that was the first thing that we did, and then next up we had putting the perspex on, and I was actually at work while this happened. So although I know how they did it, I wasn't there to actually witness it, but yeah, they've done a really great job. We were debating how to attach the perspex, whether we'd go for the no more nails tape idea or just gluing it on or screwing it on, and we went for drilling and screwing it on in the end because we thought that one day if we ever move or if we ever want to change the shape for whatever reason, it's going to be easier to take it apart and take the front perspex panels off, because if you use no more nails tape then it's pretty much permanent. Although we have used some glue, so it kind of might be a bit difficult to take it apart one day. But so the perspex is 3mm perspex, and with the screws and also the glue down these sides, it is fairly sturdy. It's definitely very sturdy at the corners. The only bit where it kind of bends a bit is kind of in the middle, but even then the movement is only very slight. Maybe more on this wide edge, but yeah, other than that it's really sturdy and I'm really pleased. I was thinking about having some kind of wood supports for these corners, but in the end we just super glued the two sides together and it holds really well. So hopefully over time that'll stay sturdy and stay secure. So after the perspex went on, and before we glued it, actually, gluing these sides was one of the last things we did. But following that stage, we put the legs on. So the legs just give it some extra support, and this leg here at the front actually serves to hold the two bits of wood, these base bits together. So these are IKEA, oh there we go, Olaf legs, and they are the adjustable ones, which is going to be really handy as well if we ever need to move the cage, like bring it forward so we can get round the back again, say if we want to put a top level on, because with these adjustable ones you can just unscrew them and lift the leg up rather than trying to move the whole cage with the legs and probably end up snapping them off. So one thing that we did have to do was we had to buy our own screws because the ones provided by IKEA were actually too long. They were over the length of the perspex, so we would have had little screw ends sticking out, which obviously is not the best idea in terms of safety. So we had to get some shorter ones. Other than that, fixing the legs on was quite easy. There we go, and there's the last one over there. So there's 3 legs, and then for additional support we've also got these IKEA Kallax shelves, which I mentioned in the first video. So that was the legs, the cage was all supported, the perspex is on. The next stage was fixing these eye hooks for the water bottles, and I was of course worrying about measurements and having to get it exact, but in the end we just lined up the water bottle where we wanted it to go and just marked on in pencil where these should go, and again we drilled holes for them and then just screwed them in with a screwdriver or by hand. And I did probably make the mistake of getting the ones a bit too thick. I'm not sure which ones it was that Budget Bunny got, but when I attach the water bottles, they are leaning forward a bit, as you can imagine, as you can see this attachment here. So the water bottles are kind of leaning forward. We solved that a bit by removing the little hook end on the water bottle attachment. So we removed that, which holds it tighter to the side, but it does still make noise. If the guinea pigs are drinking out of it and it kind of moves about, then it will make noise. But I'm going to get round that by getting some of those little sticky felt, white felt cubes. I don't know really what they're used for, and just stick those behind the water bottles to make sure that if they do move and if they might rattle about, then they won't be noisy. So the last thing that I did, and I was doing this on Wednesday evening between 10 and 11 o'clock after I'd got back from surveying. So I was very tired but determined to get the sealant on because I knew that it needed 48 hours before it was safe. The sealant that I got is this King British Aquarium sealant. Safer Fish 10-year guarantee, watertight seal. So I'd read that aquarium sealant is safe to use in these DIY cages. I got this off Amazon and I think it cost about £7. It wasn't really that expensive, and you don't need a separate gun or anything for it. It's like kind of works like a massive syringe. You just plunge that the plunger in and the sealant comes out the other end. You do just need to snip off the plastic bits so it can come out, but other than that it was quite easy to get going. But the thing that I found difficult, maybe because my hands aren't that strong, I don't know, but it was quite difficult to actually push the plunger in and get the sealant to come out in a kind of uniform and nice and neat way. It was quite difficult, especially when obviously I had the perspex on and I was reaching across trying to get right into those corners. I did use a chair, which helped a lot, so I was stood on a chair leaning across to get into those far corners. So it was quite tricky with the sealant. It does have quite good instructions on the back, and one of the things that it says is to use a kind of utensil like the back end of a spoon, or what does it suggest here? Yeah, a wet instrument such as a spoon or a spatula. So I used the other end of a spoon to just go over where I'd initially put the sealant and just smooth it out and kind of create a nice seal rather than leaving it rough. So if we just zoom in on a section, you can vaguely see that it's been, like, this side's a bit better. You can see the sealant just here. Obviously it dries translucent, which is what I wanted it to do because I didn't want to really see it. So along this edge, yeah, you can see it just there. It's not the neatest, to be honest. It was rather difficult to do, but it is going to be covered by fleece. So the sealant is going to be dry tonight. I'm very excited for the cage to finally be ready for Sprite and possibly some new arrivals, but you will have to look out for upcoming videos this weekend if you want to find out about potential new piggies. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. So look out for new videos. And again, look out for the full video on all the materials, how much everything cost, and how we built it in detail. So look out for that as well. And again, thank you so much for watching. Sorry this has been a bit of a rambling video, but that is the cage. I'm really pleased with it, and I hope you all like it too. So again, thank you for watching. Goodbye!